Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is Funny Wine Girl, aka Janine Luby. Now, if you're hearing something different in the sound of my voice this week, I'm trying out a new microphone. I say trying out like I can just afford to order one a day from Amazon, and that is so not the case, let me tell you. As someone who just wrapped up paying I'm sorry, this is still like a thorn in my paw, like I'm that lion that's like whimpering, nearly $5,000 in taxes. And no, I'm not rich. I don't make a shit ton of money. In any case, no, I don't. I don't have money to be going through microphones like underwear. But my other microphone seems to have some glitches, so I've ordered this, which is very cool looking. Hopefully, it sounds good. But anyway, that's the story of my microphone, and I hope you're as excited about it as I have been. So this week, folks, we're wrapping up April. I can't believe we're already through April, which is National Humor Month. And we have a lovely bridge that connects us to May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. Both are near and dear to my heart. And I will tell you, today I disappointed myself. I don't want to start off with a story already, but we're all human. And my guest today, I love our last conversation about parts, right? That we're not just at one thing and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I believe in humor. I know that we can use it to get through challenges and perspective. But today I got a notice about taxes that supposedly I didn't pay, even though I did. And I could have been nicer to the lady on the phone when I called her. And I was sorry about that. And I felt like a shitty person. So that's the story of me and thinking how I am human and I need to continue to remind myself to be kind and to reach for humor, because let's face it, there's always something bigger and we can get through this challenge. But enough about that. So, Humor Month leading into Mental Health Awareness Month. And we've got some really exciting things happening here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. And I'm really excited to say that my guest this week, who you've heard from many times, will be here in Northeastern Pennsylvania for the big event on May 4th. It's a mental health wellness fair. It is free to the public. It is sponsored by the John Malvisi Foundation and Leadership Northeast in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. It's going to be out in the outdoors. It's going to be vendors who are offering all kinds of services in case you or a family member need them from 2 to 4. I will be doing some laughter yoga, which is laughing for wellness sake. So you don't need to bring your yoga mat or even wear fitness clothes or touch your toes. We're going to breathe. We're going to laugh, ha, 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 and we're going to clap and feel good. And then 5 to 7, a jam-packed comedy show with myself, Mary Raypatch, Mickey Orlowski, Paul Spratt, and the one and the only, my guest this evening, Gab Bonesso. Hello and welcome, Gab Bonesso.
Hi, Janine. I'm so excited. We're 2 weeks away. I am so excited to come to Scranton.
Can you believe it's right around the corner?
Yeah, and I know it's not exactly in Scranton, but I'll be visiting Scranton for this trip. So
of course. And honestly, it's funny for someone like yourself, you're in the Pittsburgh area, you might look on the map and say, it's practically Scranton. And we're a little weird here, and I will freely own it. We're like a little bit odd when you cross county lines. It's like, oh, wait, you're not coming to Scranton. You're going to be down south in Wilkes-Barre, which really, it's like a hop on 81, and it's like a 20-minute ride. So for people in Scranton who really want to see Gab, get your butt out there and see her in Wilkes-Barre. I mean, I know you can make it happen.
it was funny. You sent me a map from where I want to get my Airbnb, although I'm tempted now because I can get the Airbnb above the gig that Paul has the Friday night before. But long story short, you sent me this map and they're all 20 minutes from each other. I'm like, that's everything in Pittsburgh. Every neighborhood is 20 minutes. I'm like, it's the same. Why don't they team up and become a big place together?
Yeah, that's something we've been well, some people have. We should be promoting ourselves as a region, you know what I mean? Like Lackawanna and Luzerne County, because there's great stuff happening in both. But for whatever bizarre reason, and this is an old thing that people are like, oh, all the way there. And it's crazy. It doesn't make sense. I think a lot of the younger generation are breaking that. And, I myself, I live in Scranton, but I worked in Wilkes-Barre, so I did the whole Luzerne County thing, and I go back and forth. But I'll admit myself, there are days that I'm like, oh, I don't want to hop in the car and go all the way down there. So I get it. But nevertheless, I laughed when I did that map for you because I doodled it, and I was like, really, everything is just you're here, and then 20 minutes later, you're here.
No, I have it saved, Janine. I'm like using it every time. I'm like, okay, where am I going to be? This is because I was writing to Nina, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to be here for the show. She's like, oh, I looked it up, and there's a show here, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's where you said, not where I said. Your show is here. Yeah, I'm a mess with your area. I only know the Electric City. I know trains. Okay, I know
Yes, last
President
time
Biden.
Gab was here last May, and I tried to show her some of the highlights. She got to see the Dwight Schrute mural on the side of On and On across from Retro Cafe. We were at Retro Cafe. Those girls are awesome. You got to go to Cooper's, check out all the fun office wear, and see the trains. We did get to see the trains. This time you'll get to enjoy a little bit of Wilkes-Barre, and if the weather cooperates, we are supposed to be along the river. Now, I will tell you, I think last time I talked to Nina, she was a little worried because they have to close like these like doors for fear of flooding, like along the river when things get too high. And last week, the river was a little high. So there is a backup plan. So if that doesn't work, we'll still be in Wilkes-Barre, but I think we'll be on the square a little bit away from the river. But you'll get a little bit of a taste of Wilkes-Barre. But let's talk about last time I had you on, we did talk a little bit about your album, and you had to pivot a little bit because you had some changes.
Yeah.
I think the venue where you were going to kind of release your album, something happened. They had to close. Was that it?
They went under. They were only open for 6 months and they went under.
Mm.
Yeah. And it was the cutest venue. Like I was just going to be the perfect setting, but you know what? I got an even better thing. So it's all working out, Janine. It always works out.
And you know what? It's a perfect example of just being the yes and the kind of improv philosophy. Like, okay, and I'm sure now if it was me, I will admit I'd be cursing like I was today. But then you calm down and you go, okay, who do I know? How can I fix this? How do I pivot? And I love you sent me some information earlier, and we could talk about where it's going to be. Carmody's, I think is the name. Carmody's Grill. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you mentioned someone, and I want you to tell us about it because, but I paid attention to it because it was about your exercise buddies that helped you out and how much that has meant to you, and I know to mental health. Tell me a little bit about who that was. That was somebody from your gym that helped you out.
Yeah, so there's this great guy at my gym. His name's Sean Carmody, and he's actually an attorney, but his family has owned this like Carmody's Grill Steakhouse that was like really well known in this like very nice area outside of Pittsburgh. That closed down, and he and his brother decided to keep the family name going, and they opened a grill that's more of like a bar with party rooms, but really nice in near where I grew up, which is McKees Rocks area. So this is on Neville Island, which is right outside of McKees Rocks. So and he like immediately I just went to Sean and I'm like, Sean, I have this pickle. The venue that I was supposed to have my album release show, they closed. Is there any way you would donate a party room? Like I was asking for free. Like he charges for these rooms. And he was like, Gab, just let me check two things. And within 24 hours on Easter weekend, he gave me a thumbs up and was like, we can do it for you, kid. And yeah, and I just like I have such a wonderful community at my gym. Like everyone was like spitballing ideas, and everyone was like, "What about talk to Sean? Talk to Sean?" You know, and yeah, it's been a wonderful thing in my life just because I struggle making friendships. You know what I mean? Like, and that place is a somewhere I go 4 days a week, and everyone there has just become my family and community, and yeah, and they're all so excited. Like they're all like, we're coming to your album." So yeah, I just feel good. And I have so many people from my fam, like where I grew up that are so excited that it'll be so close to home. So I just feel like we're going to be okay.
That's awesome. I know you mentioned it's not just kettlebell though, right? Because I know I saw something in there. Are these your buddies that are kettlebell, or is it a gym that offers everything and you just happen to know these dudes from kettlebell?
No, we do kettlebell. And this guy in particular, he only takes, this will mean nothing to your listeners, so I'll explain it. He only takes the 1 p.m. classes, which are the advanced kettlebell classes. And in an advanced kettlebell class is the only time I ever thought I may have had a heart attack. So just like this man can lift, is what I'm trying to say. He's an amazing attorney, a great lifter, and he has a wonderful venue that he's donating to me for this event. So yeah, and my gym is like, yeah, I have like 3 different bits that either take place at my gym or about somebody at my gym. Like the gym is a big hunk of my wellness.
And how long have you been going there to this particular gym?
Wow. My sister bought me my first membership about 4 months after our mom passed away. So in 16. She had passed away in November of 2015, and it was in the winter of 2016 that Rose was like, "Hey, I want you to come and check out my gym with me." And yeah, it's kettlebell, but it's also like high performance training. So it's a lot of like things you would see in a CrossFit class. Like we take sledgehammers and beat, truck tires. We flip the truck tires. We use landmines. We're pushing prowlers. I mean, I had a class today from 6 to 7, and it was pretty intense. Yeah, but it helps me with my endurance. And that's something that's for my performing, I need to also maintain on my off time. And because you've seen the energy.
Yeah, you're expending a lot. So yeah, yeah. So you've been going there for a long time then,
Yeah,
almost 10 years.
yeah.
That's awesome. So I imagine you've kept a lot of, well, the friendships you've made, a lot of people are probably still going there.
Oh yeah, yeah. The I have like truly like a big core of my adult women friends, like the group that I socialize with are all from that gym. Like, and I have just and to my artist friends who have been with me from the beginning, they're like, it's so nice to see you have like normal people friends. Like that's what you needed, Gab. Like, cause like I've always been around like other people who are a mess, you know what I mean? And they take and pull, and I want to do well by the friendship, and it ends up just depleting me of everything I have. And to be around people that are like settled in their life and know who they are, and it's just a wonderful experience. And I'm worthy of these friendships. I used to not think like, oh my God, I couldn't be friends with someone who has a real job, a husband, a kid, and now I'm like, oh no, I'm just as valuable as all of them. They love me for who I am. It's really cool.
That's awesome. And I know we've talked before on the podcast because, of course, Gab has been openly talking about having bipolar and going through, finding the right therapist and all that, and how it is a balancing act and finding all that. And you've mentioned how important exercise has been to you, and this community has been helpful.
Yeah, it's one of those topics that like when I'm doing like a mental health keynote speech that might not be funny, like I'm just kind of telling my story, and like the question will come like, well, what works for you? And I'm like, this is the one thing, if I were 15, 16, 23, I wouldn't want to hear this coming out of someone's mouth. They get up off your butt and move. Like, even if you can't do high performance exercise, if you can walk somewhere, if you are in a wheelchair, but you move somewhere, you can be moving. There's no excuse to not. And I really do think that when I am sedentary, it just gives me time to ruminate. It gives me time to think of all the problems that I don't even really have, I may as well just. I made a motto at the end of last year that if I start ruminating or having anxiety, I am either going to work out or clean my house. Because I would always think of my grandmother who would be like, who has time to have anxiety? I have floors to clean. And I miss that generation. They're not wrong. Our generation, we are the grossest humans ever. Like, no one is cleaning their house. Oh, wait, clean your house? No, I work all day. My grandmother, like, oh my God, cleaned it every day. So if I have time to like be mean to myself, I have time to clean a floor. The end. That's my motto.
You're absolutely right about that generation. My grandma, it's funny, before we hit the record button, I was saying that I missed my grandma. I was thinking of her today because I was at the polls, and she used to always bring me home the little like political information she'd get, and I'd be a little dork and pretend to play school with it. But she was like that same kind of mentality, like, oh, who has time for that nonsense? Like, because there's always something to do, like work to get done, clean the house and everything. You're absolutely right. But I agree with you 100% on the movement part. And I will say my health, and I do need to get to the doctor. I'm not loving where I've been at over the past year. And I do think a lot of it is tied to movement, though. I mean, last year I did run the Scranton half, but I did a walk run, and I trained for it well, and I felt real good at the end. This year, I mean, I'm just kind of like in that I'm accepting myself where I'm at. I'm not loving it, but I feel like some movement is better than none. So I do feel like when I'm a day that I'm sitting too much, it is deadly. It really is. And I mean, I'm being dramatic there, deadly, but I have read many articles where they're saying sitting is a new cancer. Like, and it's like, I almost feel like it makes me more tired. Like if I'm just working and sitting on my laptop and don't do anything, I know I need to get out there. And honestly, it's my savior every time I get out and move. So I totally get that. And kudos to you because that's got to be quite the workout.
Oh, it's yeah. I like we'll be in it like 50 minutes into the workout and I'll turn to another person and be like, "We pay to come here." And they're like, "I know, Gab. It's crazy. It's crazy that this is what we spend our money on is having people yell at us and make us do burpees." Yeah. We're a weird bunch at this gym. Yeah.
I get it though. That I mean, I'm not doing it. My hat is off to you. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine. I'd probably have to drop out after like
No,
2 minutes, but
I'm telling you, like I wish people could come to my gym because we run the age range. Like there aren't young people at our gym. Like if you're young, you're 30. Like that's as young as we get. Like, and we don't have many 30-year-olds. Like we are like 35 to 70, what I would say. And I mean, some of the people who are the strongest, who I admire, who have the back muscles that you're like, damn, are 67-year-old women. Like there's this one woman who is retired, all she does is effing work out. And I'm just like, Joyce, if I could have your back muscles, she's like, oh, Gabby, I just do it so I can play with my grandkids. I'm like, they're the luckiest grandkids, and you've got the best back in town. Like, what is happening? Yeah. Like, people, I am telling you, like, I try to give people the punch to come to my gym. It's affordable, it's incredible, and it's truly been a blessing in my life.
that's awesome. I love that. You've got a great back. Check that out.
Oh yeah, we're all very like if someone's like, "Hey, those calves are looking good, friend." We always are trying to be very positive, and the trainers are very positive. They even if you're not doing something correctly, they'll come over, they'll tell you how to do it correctly, but then they encourage you, and it's just a really good vibe.
That's awesome. So let's talk about your album because I know you mentioned you referenced the fact that there's a couple of jokes based on your workout routine. But your album, and we did talk about this last time, you had to like adapt, some different things were happening, but you will have it ready to for people to purchase online on May 1st. And
Mhm.
then the big event that you're having that you mentioned at Carmody's is May 18th, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So people, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, no, yeah. I wanted it to be available for the beginning of Mental Health Month, and I'm going to keep it on Bandcamp at least for the first 6 months because that's where I can make the most money. And since half of it is going to nonprofits, I really want to see what we can do and how much we can raise, and then from there, I'm willing to talk about taking it to, iTunes and such. But right now, I just want it to be a Bandcamp release because, yeah, there's a point to this.
And now for people to purchase it, they don't need to like have an account on Bandcamp or anything. They can just go to that link once it's ready on May 1st and they can, purchase it there.
Yeah, yeah, they'll be able to download it, and then if you do have like Apple Music or whatever, it'll just show up there, and you'll listen to it on your preferred listening. But yeah, you'll download all the tracks. I'm only asking for $10, but Bandcamp makes it available for you to buy, pay more. So, and because it is for charity, I'm hoping half of it is. I'm hoping people will be a little generous, but I also want people to hear it. So yeah, and I'm really I don't know. I've never really done something that I put out that I'm like, yeah, I want people to hear this, and I want people to hear this. I even sent it to my therapist, so that should give you an idea that I'm not embarrassed of it, and I was willing for her to hear it, and I do think there's just parts of it that I've never told these stories, like things about my father and my mother, and then there's a song for my godson that's very, true to my heart, and I just think it's different than a comedy album. That's why I'm calling it a comedy mental health album because it's a me album. It's a Gab album. It's a little different.
And it's called, and I'm going to, Tragicomedian. Is that how you would say it?
Yeah. I've always been a tragicomic, so it's like I should just call it what it is. I write comedy about trauma and tragedy. That's just who I am.
But that helps. I mean, obviously, it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast, I think it was partially today or yesterday. I referenced the Happiness Lab a lot. And the woman was a psychologist, a psychiatrist who lost her husband. And she started this I want to say the World Happiness Summit or something. And she talked about, it was just very interesting. And I thought of you and I thought of other people about trauma. And it was just a very interesting conversation. And I'm sorry, I don't want to go off track, but I know how you do openly talk and that how you've dealt through the years using humor. And we talked a little bit about this last time, but with the interesting thing she talked about with trauma is that, it's different for everyone. And like we've talked about that. So, it doesn't have to mean that you lost someone. It's okay to feel like you're going through something traumatic if you lost a boyfriend or, it's things like that, or you've been ghosted or whatever. It's a different trauma. It's a different level, but it might be taking over your world and that's fine. But her point was, which I thought was interesting, it doesn't mean that it is the world, though. And that's where you put into perspective. It can be taking over your world. But what she said that was so interesting too is that she said we almost have a responsibility to deal with it. So, whereas other people might go, oh, you're not going through anything. No, it's okay to recognize that. And in fact, she was making the point you have to recognize it, because if you're not healing, then what are you doing for your whole life? And how are you reacting or encountering with other people? And what are you spilling on to them? But then I thought that was interesting. Then she, of course, and we've talked about giving people grace, that not everyone's ready, right? They're in the fight or flight mode, they're in the denial mode. And when they're ready and in that place of comfort so that they can heal, is when they face the trauma and heal. I just thought it was I thought of you, but I thought of like all of us really. And it was just I just love the way she put it.
No, and it reminds me of what we kind of talked about last time, which is that disconnect of like when you are starting to get to like how I used to only hang out with people who wanted to see me be manic and wanted to see me do something crazy from stage. And they're like, yeah, that's the Gab. And it's like, no, why would you want me to hurt myself? Like, no, I want friends who want me to be the best Gab I could be on stage. And that might mean calming it down a little bit so everyone can hear what I'm saying, or whatever it be. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling that in where I am at this point in time.
Yeah. And it's great that you've arrived here. And like you said, you're happy and you want people to hear this. Now, let me ask you, do you want your therapist to give you feedback or just share what she thinks of it? Or do you not want to have a conversation about it?
It's funny because, my very first therapist, the one who was like the one who guided me with bipolar, we had a very inappropriate relationship in that she didn't charge me. She's like, you'll pay me when you're famous, which really put a weird dynamic there. She would come to my shows and after I would perform, come up to me and tell me how I should be handling myself with the headliners and pushing me to do. So very up top with this therapist, I was like, I don't want that. I don't want you coming to shows, but I really like her and we vibe well. And up until a year ago, we were having 2 sessions a week. And so I do kind of work out material in sessions sometimes, and she laughs the loudest. So I just felt like she deserved to hear this, and especially the parts about my parents. I really wanted to hear that, and I don't know, just to get a. And what's really weird though is her children go to a school that I perform. And so she'll know when I'm going there and then be like, oh, yeah, you had an assembly. Like, she can't say anything. And then she'll get the feedback from the kids and share that with me. So, and her one kid was obsessed with me and my program. So she was like, thanks. Because I guess he has some issues. So she was like, you really helped him out. I'm like, okay, cool. Neat. You helped me out. So it's all working. Yeah, I want her to be, honest. Yeah. But she understands my fragility. So I don't think she would be so honest that she'd kill me.
Oh, no, I wasn't. I
So
didn't mean that. But so, and that brings up, and again, I don't want to go off topic too much, but that brings up I always think an interesting dynamic about like the levels, the boundaries, and the appropriateness, right, between the therapist and their patient. And like you mentioned, your previous one, that was not appropriate. So I'm sure those lines do get crossed, especially the longer. And I've heard this from other people who are like, oh, my therapist is like, I've known her for 20 years. And like, I could see how that, I mean, especially if you had a relationship for so long, so comfortable, that there's bound to be this level where it's like no longer so much as helpful, as you're more like becoming buddies or something, that you've got to
yeah.
watch those lines and those boundaries, I suppose.
Well, I feel like that's like I did it kind of a bit last week. That's not like I'm keeping necessarily. It was like an open mic, but I just said like I know that therapy is going well because we spent 45 minutes of my 1 hour session pitching merch idea for my upcoming album. Like that was the session. So the fact that we're in every other week, it's really like, yeah, I think I'm getting better because we just are pitching merch ideas and not doing EMDR. But what's really interesting is we could do a session like that and then pick up the next week and do an intense EMDR. Like she and I know when to like get back into the work mode and because she's training in this parts work that I kind of mentioned last time, and because I'm really like I'm able to go into EMDR very easily. I'm one of those clients that's like it doesn't take much to get me there. We've been doing EMDR with my parts, and that has been exciting and really good and helping me be kinder to myself. And I'm able to recognize parts in other people now. So I'm able to find more space and grace for people I haven't had space and grace for. Like I have my oldest brother, we're no contact, But if you want to talk to me about him, I can only find nice things to say about him at this point in time. Like, I don't want to have him in my world, but I get it now. And I know why we can't be in each other's world. And we're just wired completely differently. But I have nothing but love for that brother. And I hope the best for him in this world. And I was, 6 months ago, I would have flipped this table and been like, don't you bring him up to me. How dare you say his name? And I don't feel that way at all, like at all. Yeah, just so much more compassion for people when I'm able to break it down into parts.
Yeah, and we did talk about that last time, and I love that. And it's funny. In fact, Oliver loved it. He cracked up. He laughed out loud. You kind of called, not, I won't say you called me out, but you're like, it's okay, Janine. You're in protector mode, with all my blogging and everything, and I'm going to save the world. And yeah, he got a really good laugh about that one. But
We weren't good friends, Janine. I would have, but I felt like we were being like real friends in that moment. Like, come on, Janine, and you're in protector mode. I gotta save the world. I gotta do it. That's such a I felt it from you.
yeah, he was cracking up over that. But I appreciated that because that rang true. That was true. And I love that idea of parts. And again, I think of you often because as I said, I volunteered at the poll today. And I was there for a Democratic candidate, and I don't know how she's doing. And the polls just closed recently. So when this airs, I don't know if Keir Bradford Gray, she was on the podcast before, if she won or not. She was up against maybe four or five. Gab voted. She's got her sticker out, and she voted for Keir just like I did. Woo!
I did.
She's up against four other dudes, I think. And I don't know. I hope she gets in, but if she doesn't, I will say this much. She is a badass and there is a place for her. And hopefully this will just be the beginning of her wanting to, to protect people and to fight for people. But what I wanted to say is I thought of you with the parts because I was there handing out first time I ever did this. And I thought, oh my God, are people going to be nice to me? They're going to be mean, the world the way it is. And I did have a couple of people go, oh, what are those? Are you, Democrat? No. And like they kind of, wave their hand. But this one couple, he did that. And then he came out and he said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off before because he was Republican. And we really kind of came to, he's like, tell me about her. And he still wanted to know. And we talked. And as I'm walking home from the polls, I just thought of you because I thought of that whole parts thing and how I really wish more people would know about that and really think of it before they just go on Facebook and throw the hate out there and like I hate people who do this or I don't, and I mean, and I thought of myself today how I was feeling so bad and guilty for how I talked to this woman, even though I know it's not her fault. She's not the tax collector, so to speak. She works for them, and I could have been nicer and I should have been nicer. And I'm like, okay, Janine, you screwed up, but that's part of you. Does it mean you're a complete piece of shit? No, but I thought of the parts and I really wish more, I just think that's a lovely way to think of people and look at people. We're not just that one thing or that one behavior or that one bad trait.
Yeah, it really has been my favorite form of therapy I've done in, 2 decades of this work. It's really, yeah, it's been very valuable and it just helps with human interactions. It helps when like social media. I went off TikTok for a few months. Now I'm back and I'm trying to really monitor my usage. But there was like a woman who made this like video. She's covered in tattoos and piercings. And she's talking about how she applied for a job at TJ Maxx. She didn't get the job. She went back to TJ Maxx to ask why she didn't get the job. And they told her the reason she didn't get the job was because she had no experience. And she goes on in the video to say, well, how do teenagers get jobs if you have to have experience for your very first job? Like that was the point of her video. And of course, she's covered in tattoos and they're all demon tattoos. One is like a devil bat on her chest, right? And so the easy joke is to come on, stitch her video and be like, yeah, you didn't get the job because the devil tattoos. That's why I didn't get. So there were like literally a million videos about her making fun of her, just punch, 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 punch. And as someone who's worked in, not trying to encourage people not to be bullies, I was like, wow, like I know it was easy and it's the easy joke and it's so easy to pile on, but I really feel like what she wanted by making this video was just someone to be like, hey, I'm really sorry you didn't get the job at TJ Maxx. Like, I think that's what she needed, but instead she got this. And then if I went and made a video and I was like, hey guys, I think she just wanted people to say, sorry you didn't get the job at TJ Maxx. People are like, you dumb idiot. She didn't have to come online and say it. She set herself up. The minute she got those tattoos, she said, it's like, whoa, okay, I'm just saying, I think what she wanted was just for people to say, I'm sorry you didn't get the job at TJ Maxx. But like, it is like wolves on the internet, and I have to just be like, they're young, they're naive, they need attention, they're so desperate to get a laugh. Like I try to find the space for them too, but it's yeah. For me, I just limit my time on social media. Just post what I have to post, try to interact with some friends, and get out. Like
Yeah. And I think that's smart. That's I struggle myself because it's like one of the first things I look at, and I'll admit it, one of the last things, it's just out of habit, I look at it before I go to bed, which I'm trying to get out of that habit because it affects your sleep. But one of the first things I'll look and then be like, oh, instantly comparing. Oh, wow. That's cool that they did that they went there. And instantly in my head, I wish I was, or why aren't I doing. And I try not to fall for that. Usually it'll last for a few seconds and I move on. And I think that's a good thing. But, and we've talked about this too, and I've talked about it with other people, when you're a performer, when you have anything that you want to get out to the community, you really kind of have to be on there, at least for now, where we're at in society. You've got to that's where people are. That's where you have to tell them. But you don't have to get sucked into, comparing yourself. And so I'm trying to pull back from that, seeing things that just make me, I do roll my eyes. Fortunately, I've always had that kind of self-control. I don't need to bash a person, comment on their choices. I just roll my eyes until they're like in the other side of my head, and then I get off the app. I mean, but and we've talked about that. So it's just, but like, for example, your album, of course you're going to promote it there. I'm going to promote it on my social media because we want to get it out there. And so it's just a necessary evil. But speaking of the album, and we've mentioned that you did say a portion of it will be going to charity. So we've mentioned this before, the Humor Therapy Fund. Gab is generously donating some portions to the Humor Therapy Fund and to Pride, Disability Pride. I always screw that up and I apologize. Disability Pride PA. And Vicky was on last year talking about what they do. They do amazing things for people across the state with disabilities and to raise awareness, to educate, all kinds for equity. And there's great events coming up, and Gab is often involved in those. And I'm fortunate enough this summer, I will be leading some laughter yoga at the one that will be happening for the first time ever in Northeast PA here, which is cool, Pittston, and then in Allentown. But there's going to be other ones in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Williamsport. So I will put a link to them in the show notes, because a portion of Gab's comedy sales will go to Disability Pride PA and also to the Humor Therapy Fund. You've heard me talk about it, but I will say once more, it is a fund that I worked on. I started in 2005 with the Scranton Area Foundation. The whole idea is to spread humor and laughter in a therapeutic way. And so fortunately, last year we were able to, because of a grant that was dispersed to NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, Northeast Region PA, we're able to bring in Gab, and she was able to talk to the public about her experience with bipolar. She was able to do a comedy show and then talk to folks at the Scranton Counseling Center, which was great. And now this year, thanks to the Humor Therapy Fund, she and her partner Josh, they do these amazing shows at assemblies for schools. They're going to be performing for the Boys and Girls Club of Northeastern Pennsylvania in July, and I know that is going to be so much fun for the kids who hang out there. And of course I'm going to be there taking videos and little clips to post online, but I can't wait to see you with Josh. This is going to be insane, I think.
oh, it is. Like I'm telling you now, like as crazy as you thought I was on, we say that word because we're allowed to. At the last show we did together, like I mean it. We play as though we're at Madison Square Garden and we have a crowd of 1 million. I mean, we rock out like two maniacs. Like there are times we're in a daycare. I'm like, bro, it's 9 a.m. We're in a daycare and we're sweating on children because we're performing so hard. We got to bring it down a couple. We don't. We cannot. We're incapable of bringing it down a couple notches. I'm so excited to come and sing and tell stories and just have a blast with you guys. It's going to be, I have to tell you, fun little side note, and Josh didn't know this. The Monday before we come, I just wrote appointment on our business calendar. I'm getting my first colonoscopy the day before. I cleared it with them. They said I'd be fine. I'll be fine that day. They're like, you can do a show that night. You'll be fine. But yeah, so I'll be really cleaned out and light for Scranton.
Cleaned out and light. Okay, you had to mention colonoscopy. You know that's my Achilles heel, don't you?
No.
Okay, so
I get one since I was 20. I've been begging for one, and they're like, not yet.
Well, now let me ask you, if you don't mind me, of course, you seem like an open book. Is cancer is in your family, I believe,
Well,
right?
not
Okay.
colon cancer, but cancer is in my family. Yeah.
Okay. Now I could make a really dark joke and go, "Oh, I'm jealous," because this is again, my friends were cracking up at me last year. I was going off. I had people over the house and I would not shut up about the fact that I'm 52 and I've not had a colonoscopy. And let me tell you, I'm pissed, right? So when I worked in healthcare communications, it was 50 that was recommended, right? They've lowered that to 45. I did not know that because I no longer work in healthcare and none of my doctors said a thing. So last year when I was there and I was 51, I said, I'm 51. And they said, do you have cancer in your family, like colon cancer? And I said, no. Oh, you can do Cologuard. I'm like, that's not the same thing. So now I'm talking to everyone and I am pissed because I said, it's not that I want something shoved up my butt. It's not that I want to drink the gross stuff and poop for like whatever, but I would like to know. And every day you see different people, younger and younger,
Oh
getting
yeah.
colon cancer. And I will tell you, I am pissed about that. And I'm kind of making a little joke about how I get worked up. But this is like, I've taken to social media about this because it really aggravates me. You'll see people posting, get your colonoscopy, and this is what a lot of doctors' offices are saying. Oh, if you don't have cancer in your family, just get Cologuard. I'm sorry, pooping in a box and getting it checked is not the same thing. So I'm not begrudging your colonoscopy. I
It's
just had to air my grievances.
You're mad gels. Well, when the lady called and she's like, "Hi, I'm calling to schedule a colonoscopy for Gabrielle Bonesso," and I'm like, "Yes, I'm so excited!" And she's like, "Oh, funny." And I'm like, "I've been waiting for this since I was 20 years old." She's like, "Oh, you're not kidding? Okay, let's get you on." I was like, "As soon as possible." She's like, "As soon as we have is this." I'm like, "Okay, I'll take it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. What do I get to drink? What do I have to do?" She's like, "Wow, all right, yeah, we'll send all that closer to the day." Yeah, I mean, I was like Bill Murray in Little Shop of Horrors, like, "Yeah, give me the drill." Like I was a masochist about getting this colonoscopy. It was so bizarre, but I've truly wanted one since I was young. My grandmother had very debilitating colitis, and I've always had symptoms very similar to my grandmother. So it's just like I just want to. I'm less worried about cancer. I'm more worried about colitis or diverticulitis or Crohn's. All of that is like everyone. An aunt with Crohn's, a grandma with colitis. Like it's the cool ones in my family aren't the best, but we'll see. I'll let you know. I hate to brag. It's probably going to make you really jealous. I have two siblings who are much older than me who have refused to get their like they should
Bastards. I could
like
have theirs.
and they won't do it. And I'm one of which I'm not going to say who it is, but I keep pressuring them to do it. So yeah,
Okay, well, I can just tell you, I'm so jelly
it's so funny.
of your colonoscopy.
You're
Oh
the
my God,
only
my friends
person.
are laughing so hard because my one friend's husband's like, wow, my doctor insisted that I get one. I'm like, you son of a bitch.
And my father had bladder cancer. It spread in the downstairs area. My brother had prostate cancer. So like these are like those kind. I do think like we have more of a history of the downstairs cancers. Is that how you say it? That's what I say. It's
The
fine.
downstairs cancers.
Downstairs ones.
You're heading to the basement. Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
what
and I'm not, believe me, I please no one take this as any kind of cruelty. I don't wish it on anyone. It's just, my parents have had polyps, but thankfully, I mean, we're fortunate, no cancer, but I just still believe we need to be a little more uniform about what we're doing in this country. If it's recommended, just give me the freaking
right.
colonoscopy because at 52, I would like to have things checked out.
Well, my complaint, and this is the one test I still can't, well, two tests. I've always wanted a brain scan. They won't give it to me. And I'm like, how do you diagnose me with all these disorders, but we won't look at my brain? Okay, that seems right. But I really want like a stress test. And my doctor laughs in my face. Every she's like, yeah, you do high performance kettlebell, you do cardio. You don't need, you live a stress test. I'm like, no, because every woman in my family on my mom's side has died of a heart attack or heart related disease. And I'm just like, my sister and I, neither of us have ever been given a stress test. I've never even had like a EKG or an echocardiogram. Like, I just want to know what's going on in here because like they don't, all the women in my family ended up having heart attacks in their late 40s, early 50s, didn't even know they were having heart attacks. So by the time they get to the hospital in their 60s, they're like, did you know you've had 5 major heart attacks? And they're like, no, I didn't know. I just walked with a limp for a couple of years, didn't know why. Like seriously, like I come from tough women who just walk through heart attacks. So I'm like, I could be having them on stage for shit's sake. I don't even know. Yeah, it's wild. I just that's mine. You have the colonoscopy. I got heart test.
I've seen your act. I think I saw you have a heart attack. I think
And I
I
still get
witnessed one over
warm.
the chicken nuggies.
If I slump over and take like a minute to pause, it's me having a heart attack, and I pop back up. All right, next bit. Got my
She's
second win.
good. She's good. Give her a little space. She's good.
Fine. And I got a paddle. I'm fine. I don't need it. Bang, bang. I'm back. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, folks, you are going to get a chance to see Gab's High Energy May 4th, Saturday. It's a free show. Did I mention that? It's free. You come out and check it out. We're going to be, if all goes well, we'll be at Millennium Circle there on River Street in Wilkes-Barre. If there's issues with the river, if it's too high, I believe we'll be at the square, which is only not even like a half a mile away. So I will definitely post those details when I find out what our backup plan is. But in any case, it's from 2 to 8 p.m. Come on out, get some information, do some laughter yoga at 4 and 5 to 7. Check out this amazing show. Gab is the headliner, so she's got a whole solid hour to just hopefully not have too many heart attacks.
Ginny, you have to keep account of how many heart attacks I have during my set.
I'll be on the side going, is that one? I think that was a mini one. And then there's going to be a DJ playing music. And is your sister still coming?
Yeah, my sister's coming. Yeah, she's excited. She's my
That's
travel
awesome.
partner. I wanted to
is
bring
gonna-
Oscar originally, my little godson, so we could do the whole train thing, but he has his own trip that weekend, so
Oh, busy guy.
schedule him in. Yeah.
That is very cool. Now, when Gab returns with Josh in July, unfortunately, folks, you cannot watch that. That is going to be just for the client, which is the Boys and Girls Club of Northeastern Pennsylvania. But I will certainly take some photos and share, and you will get to see how Josh and Gab are swimming in a sea of their own sweat because they are rocking hard.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the summer, Josh and Gab show, like we're already like, oh man, what clothes are you gonna wear this summer? I need athletic gear. This is getting crazy. I mean, when I first started, would wear black jeans. He and I would both wear long sleeve shirts that were black and white striped. Like we'd like try to dress alike, and we'd be performing in 90-degree heat. It was playing drums. I would have heat stroke every summer. I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. I need lighter clothes, linen pants, please.
Oh, yes, yes. Or some kind of like netting, like perforated netting or something like that. Wouldn't that be cool? That might be nice little airflow there.
I know. If I was ever like, I've never, because I'm such a tomboy, I've never been a skirt wearer, but I'm like, Rose, I guess getting old means when you want to start wearing skirts because you're hot and you need air downstairs. And she's like, that's it. Welcome to middle age, baby. And I was like, oh, so now I get it. I never needed it before, but now I need some skirts. Get those over here. Yeah. If I get in my long skirt phase, you know what's happening. Baby needs air. Yeah, it's crazy.
Is Gab joining a commune? Is she in the prairie? No, she's just ventilating.
She's still wearing a little kid's shirt on top of that long, weird old lady skirt. It's still Gab.
You could do that. I'm sure that's really hipstery cool. I mean, I don't know. I'm
I'll
not,
do my
but I'm
Diane
sure it is.
Keaton vibe. I'll wear this hat, a t-shirt, and a long Diane Keaton kind of skirt. It'll be great.
Let me tell you, in the summer, that's why I love dresses because they're easy and they are. And your sister's absolutely right because not to give TMI, but like at this age, we get like wet so easily. It's like dripping from going to the bathroom. It's like, okay, I don't want to wear pants. I just need that flow.
Want air, baby. I just want some air.
I just need air. I need to ventilate.
It's crazy. Holy God. And I'm like very not like I am body positive for everybody. But if there's one part of my body that if I could get like plastic surgery, it would be my legs because I'm bow-legged like terribly. Like my calves come out like literally like this. And then my knees hyper like lock. So like they're bow-legged and they lock. Oh my God, if I'm wearing shorts and sitting, my legs look like they're from another human. I'm not lying. Like there's the top half looks like, oh, that's Gab, a petite woman. And then you see my legs and you're like, no, that's a caveman, barreling through the jungle. Like it's weird. I have weird legs. So I hate wearing shorts and it's tough in the summer. So yes, that's the one. Even my therapist is like, stop it. You need to love yourself. And then I'll be like, look at these legs. And she's like, you can wear pants. And I told you, just let's be honest with each other.
Let me see if I have something in the back.
Seriously.
No, it's yeah, and you know what? You're right. Body positivity is important, but it is also okay if something, is bothering you and you have a hang up because to that point, if you were to go out and wear the shorts, then that's bothering you because I've done that. It's like if you feel like yes, oh, you look good. My mother will say that sometimes. Oh, you're too self conscious about your weight because I put on weight. I'm like, okay, but if I'm feeling it, I have to like what I'm wearing and how I think I feel because otherwise it's just on my mind and it's really playing with my confidence and everything else, which
Yeah,
which
you want to be
sucks.
comfortable, you know what I mean? And that means in your skin and in everything. And if you hate your knees, then you don't want the world to see them. One time I was in a video and I was wearing pajamas that had rolled up, and a friend of mine saw the video. And when they got to my legs, they went, "What? Are those somebody else's legs?" Literally. And I was like, that's what I've always known my legs look like. And you just confirmed it. And I never wore shorts again.
Like now I'm like when
Now
you
you want
come
me to
in,
wear
I'm
shorts.
gonna be like, can you please show me your knees?
No, you're not seeing them fine. Maybe if we go clogging. And it's warm. It was cold last time I was in
Can I
Spain
just get a
today.
peek, please?
I know they're not great, Janine. They're weird legs.
Oh my God, you're killing me.
One time I was doing a shoot with American Eagle and they were like, "Oh, Gab, do you know your knees lock?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know." They're like, "You could pass out. You need to make sure you keep them bent." Also, they look weird in those jeans. I'm like, "Thanks, guys. Okay, let me stand like this, like a fucking weirdo. These videos, if my body isn't right." And meanwhile, they're a company that's all like body positivity. Like when they first hired me, they're like, "We hired you because you look normal." And then I lost weight. They're like, "You're too skinny. We want a normal person." I'm like, "You can't fire me for losing weight, you idiots." Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh,
been
the
a fun
fashion
ride, Janine.
industry.
It's been a fun ride in the arts and entertainment business, let me tell you.
We'll wrap it up now, but I did want to just promote, as I will in the show notes, information again, May 1st, when Gab's album comes out. I'll put in a link to Disability Pride PA. And of course, you hear me talk about the Humor Therapy Fund all the time. I should mention probably so also on May 4th, since I'm doing some laughter yoga, the next day, Sunday, is World Laughter Day. So, of course, I will be sharing that in next week's podcast, but I will be leading some laughter yoga on my Facebook page, Laugh to Live. If you can't watch it or you can't join me, just think of extra laughter for yourself on May 5th. It's meant to kind of like just bring us together, unite us, which we could certainly use some more of that. Not judging ourselves or anyone else, just laughing to feel good, to feel less stressed, to feel lighter, to be united. It'll be a good thing.
Thank you, Janine. I'm so glad we got to talk about the album, colonoscopies, getting wet downstairs. It's all good stuff. I'm sure people are gonna be like, this was the most graphic, horrific podcast. Two middle-aged women talking about sweat. Disgusting. I'm fine with that.
Oh, I am too. And I think my listeners should know this by now. In fact, I forget who said something last time about our talk. They're like, yeah, you never know what you guys are going to talk about. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And isn't that just fun? I think it is.
I think that's good ear candy. And also shout out to Oliver, who now when I like your pictures on Instagram, I'm like, hey, we're kind of friends too. Like I feel like I'm cheating on Janine. I'm like just Gab solo. Yeah, it's wild. So Oliver, I'm not saying we're as close as you guys, but we're pretty close.
Back off. That's where I will draw the line, bitch.
Just
I will
saying.
cut a bitch
He's the
hard.
first person to look at my story 9 out of 10 times. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe he's on Instagram a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. Last time you were on the show, he's like, why am I not following her on Instagram? So he started and I was like, just so you know, I have to always be the second lady in your heart because he's a huge Madonna fan. So I said Madonna is always first.
And you're like,
no. Well, his mother has passed away, but even when she was on this earth, she knew that Madonna came first.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I said Madonna first, then Janine, and Gab can come after that. She cannot share number 2, and she cannot bump me to number 3, just so you know the rules.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just such a happy, fun guy.
Watch it, sister.
All right. Hands off of Oliver. I got it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I will be going to visit him in North Carolina, May 7th through the 16th, and I cannot wait. I'll be just taking a little break from everyday Janine, and I get to just hang out with him and his husband, and they just treat me well, and it's like a staycation in North Carolina, and I love it. And I love him and his husband. It's a fun time.
Will you actually like unplug and be like not do any work?
Um, Almost. Yeah, I do bring my laptop because I do have like, the layover at the airport and stuff. And, if I had to do something just so I'm not feeling antsy, like, oh, okay, I don't mind bringing the laptop, but I do a pretty good job of unplugging. I will only go on it maybe one day.
Uh,
That's about it. So we really do chill, go for walks and just relax. And it really does feel like a vacation to me, which I'm so looking forward to for
that
sure.
is awesome.
Yes. Yes. And maybe we'll talk about you once or twice, Gab.
Well, you should bring your microphone and do a live podcast with them.
I know, I thought about that. We'll see. Even if I don't bring the mic, we'll probably do something. We'll definitely hop on and we'll reach out to you, Gab.
That'd be awesome. I want you guys to come to Pittsburgh so we can all do a Kennywood date.
Okay. Can I tell you, he is excited about that, but he loves roller coasters and he's like, you have to go on one. And I do not like roller
I'll
coasters,
go on them
but
with
I'll
him.
be damned if it's just you two.
Wait, we'll bring another person. My best friend Bethany is really a coaster maniac. Like she will ride anything. I can't do spinny things, so I'm out of spinny, but I can do the coasters. The Jackrabbit is the best one, and the Thunderbolt, and the Racer. Okay.
He would love all of those. And I am just, is there a baby one? Like, is there a little roller
Yeah,
coaster?
like the little Phantom. Yeah, we have like a Kitty Land. Janine can go to Kitty Land. I'll go to Kitty Land. We'll bring Oscar, and then you and Oscar can go to Kitty Land.
Okay. Well, I don't want to feel completely left out. Okay. All right. Yeah, I've never been a coaster
Oscar's the real
fan.
star. You'll want to hang out with him. He's hilarious. He's the only person I'm gonna let roast me. He makes fun of me to my face. I'm like, just because I'm nice? Like literally, like he just oh you did. We were don't cancel me. We were at Chick-fil-A and they bring your food out and he got a fruit bowl and I was just so like thankful the lady brought the food. So I'm like, oh wow, our food, thanks, wow. And she hands me the fruit bowl. I'm like, whoa, oranges, wow. And I hand him his fruit bowl and she leaves and he turns to me and he goes, wow, oranges, wow, oranges, wow. And he just kept mocking me. I'm like, you little shit. But it's really funny. And now he says it all the time. And I've decided my funeral is going to be Oscar roasting me. That's it. It's a funeral and then Oscar roasts me at the memorial.
Aw.
That's the plan.
Well, I think it's great to have him in your life. He obviously, I mean, we've talked about Gab's little buddy. To have someone in your life that keeps you playful and connected to that is really healthy and good and fun, I'm sure.
I'm very blessed. Very blessed.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gab. And to my listeners, thank you for taking a ride with Gab and I to the Wet and Wild, to the colonoscopy, to the downstairs, to the basement, to wherever the hell we went. It's always a good time because this is what life is, full of fun stuff, ups and downs, and sometimes icky stuff. And that's just the way it is. But, and a lot of good stuff too. So, check out the show notes, check out my socials. Funny Wine Girl Janine, Instagram, Facebook, and on Laugh to Live. I will be sharing all the details again many times about May 4th so that you can check out all the good stuff and see Gab headlining the comedy show. It's going to be a good time. And please check out and buy Gab's album on May 1st. Support performers. Please, we need it. Thank you. Some things coming up next week is going to be Nina Judge. She is someone you've heard from before of the John Malvisi Foundation. It is her foundation working with the leadership group to bring the mental wellness fair on May 4th to fruition. She's the one that planned all this, and she's going to have like a media campaign the following week all about raising awareness and education about mental health. So she will be on next week. And then I have Tracy, who's going to be talking about her business and her, I guess you could say, I don't want to say craft, but her skill where she is teaching young kids yoga and why that is good for them. And that will be in a couple weeks. So as I always say, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.